Today we're visiting with Education Coordinator Jeff Long to talk about the National Archery in the Schools program and the upcoming state tournament in Minot. I'm Mike Anderson with the North Dakota Game and Fish Department. Jeff, why was the NASP program, or the National Archery in the Schools program, started in North Dakota?
Well, the Archery in the Schools program was started in North Dakota as a way to reach a different audience, reach a new audience with conservation and specifically a shooting sport. Nationally, the trend was, going down, and I think to some degree it still is. But there's this trend of losing hunters and fishermen, so it was developed on the national level. We recognized at that time that while we were still doing very well and still are, do we want to wait until we're doing care, or do we want to look at it and go, let's do some prevention, let's get a program in place in schools where we're reaching not just the kids that are already coming to, let's say, an outdoor event that are a lot of times the same kids that are already doing these things, and let's tap into that new audience, a PE class where you have 40 kids, 20 kids, whatever it is, showing up, and yeah, maybe a couple of them already shoot, maybe a couple of them already hunt or fish, but there's a lot of them that don't.
Jeff, the NASP program in North Dakota has been in place over 20 years. Early on, it grew fast. I mean, it was doubling in participants year after year after year. Where are we at today?
Well, I like to say, and for the last couple of years, we have picked the low-hanging fruit. So the rate of growth as far as number of new schools is slowing. But what I have noticed, or it definitely has been happening, is the schools that are involved in it and the ones that come in, they're jumping in with both feet. Schools that are coming in now are starting an after-school program oftentimes before they even get the in-curriculum or in-school curriculum done, which is required. But they're basically getting the school teachers trained, parents trained as an after-school coaching staff, and they're implementing the entire program, the in-school side and the after-school side, with the anticipation of or goal of getting into the tournament side of things. So these kids are really getting involved in this archery thing, which of course you have a greater chance of locking them in to something that they're going to do for life.
So the program is still very popular. How many schools across the state are involved?
We've implemented it in well over 200 schools now. I guess I haven't gone down the list. I've got 2 or 3 right now that I'm processing that'll come online probably this spring, if not next fall.
This is a good time to talk about your grants available to schools to get started with the program. Explain those, Jeff.
Sure. So right now we actually have a great, kind of an unprecedented level of funding, and a lot of that is because of national level funding that can be piggybacked upon our funding, state level funding, game and fish funding, where it costs around $3,500 to get all the equipment you need, the training, everything you need to implement the program in the school. We provide to brand new schools a 50% cost share. And then NASP has a very healthy cost share that can be added on top of that, so that it gets to a point where a school, it really reduces any financial decision on the school's end as far as whether it's too expensive to implement. You run into new schools, well, geez, we need to buy basketball nets and paint things on our wall and buy a new scoreboard. Or for smaller schools, sometimes that their budgets aren't as healthy for either of those, and depending on the size of the school, that funding can be adjusted up or down.
So really, all the equipment almost is covered through grants and cost share.
A high percentage of it. We always want to have some skin in the game for everyone involved. So we want to make sure that the school, if you give something for free, is it worth anything? So there is some input that the school is they're going to have to commit to something, but not a whole lot.
Okay. Jeff, early on again, the biggest hiccup for a lot of these schools was they thought it was a safety issue. Explain how safe the NASP program really is.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. We are now, I think NASP is getting close to 25 years in existence. It started in Kentucky, grew to the surrounding states. It was even under a different name at that point in time, Kentucky Archery in the Schools, and then it grew, it became a national program. So it took a few years for it to kind of get to us. But in that time, they still have an absolutely perfect safety record. There has been no incidents, no major incidents. I'm sure there's maybe a kid that's had a skinned finger or a little tingling on their fingers, but we're talking about nothing. And the reason for that is the training is so disciplined, so strict, and so it's so uniform. The same training is done here, is done in Florida, is done at the national level, and it's focused. Its number one emphasis. Everything is done safety first.
Another nice thing about the NASP program is everybody can participate.
Yeah, and that has been a really big selling feature for, I mean, honestly, not only PE teachers, parents, but school administrators. When they're looking at a variety of projects they can do, programs that they can do for their kids, they're looking at, well, who does this benefit? And the nice thing is yes, as you mentioned, you could have a fourth grade girl who is not at all athletic walk up to the line, and I say this probably every time we do this interview, and stand up next to a high school All-American linebacker, and she can beat him. So kids with physical challenges, all kinds of different challenges that they face, can actually still do archery. We've had kids with one arm that shoot with a special device in their mouth that they pull it back with their teeth and let it go there. We've had many times, and you've probably seen this at the state tournament, kids walking up on crutches, coach takes the crutches away, they sit in a chair or a wheelchair, and they can participate right along with everybody else with no difference in equipment, no difference in scoring. They just participate just like everybody else.
Lots of smiles.
Oh yeah.
Jeff, speaking of the state tournament, coming up in middle of March, when is the state tournament and where is the state tournament?
March 21st and 22nd, which is a Friday and Saturday, in Minot at the State Fair Center.
Okay, and that's where we've had it the last few years.
Oh yeah, we've been there probably 10 years. This is the 17th year of the state tournament. Probably 10 years I think it is 10 or 11 years for the 3D aspect of the state tournament. And there's actually 4 different competitions going on simultaneously. We've got the NASP Olympic style, which is the original NASP program. We've got the NASP 3D, where they shoot the foam animals. And then we have the varsity archery, which is essentially, in a nutshell, it's advanced NASP. It has nothing to do with NASP, but all the kids that shoot it come out of NASP, and they're just shooting a little higher, not necessarily higher end, but a little more technology. Their bows are a little more capable. They have more equipment on their bows, and they shoot at different targets and a wider variety of targets. So it makes it adds a little bit of a challenge. And it's only available for kids in high school.
Sure. It takes a lot of people and a lot of groups to have the state tournament and to make the NASP program successful.
Yeah.
Who are some of the groups that participate at the state tournament?
So one of the big groups is called the North Dakota Youth Archery Advisory Committee. And that is a group of coaches that got together and said, hey, we want to help grow this program. We want to be involved. And they've been a great partner. In fact, in addition to helping staff the state tournament, they help when there's new schools that come on board that want to maybe host a tournament. The members will go out and help that school run that first tournament. They also have some small grants available to help with some of that stuff. And another big thing they do is they fundraise. They raise all the money we have a pin program where if kids shoot a certain score in a tournament, they get a pin, so they can collect these different pins as they progress, and that's a big success. But they also, we are this year and last year giving away $30,000 in college scholarships. This is a match program, so at the state level, if you raise up to $15,000, NASP will actually match $15,000, so we give away 30. They raise every penny of that through a variety of different things that they have in place to do that. So they're great to work with. Of course, the North Dakota Bowhunters Association has always been a supporter. In fact, they help us with both staffing for the state tournament, but they also donate to the Youth Advisory Committee money that goes directly into that scholarship program. So they're also a funding partner.
And the state tournament's pretty large. We're talking over 1,000 participants typically.
Over 1,000 kids, yep. Sign up for Bullseye, and then the cool thing is with these other things, we got 3D, and then we've got the varsity Olympic style or Bullseye style shooting, which is the paper targets, and a special 3D tournament for them. So some of these kids are coming in and shooting in 4 different tournaments, maybe in one day, but probably across 2 days.
who can participate in the state tournament?
So one of the basic requirements in order to participate in a NASP tournament, and this goes for local tournaments held at the schools, the state tournament, the national tournament, or what is called the World, or now the Open tournament, is the kid has to attend a school that has the NASP program offered at that school in their PE class or some other type of class. Typically it's done in PE, but that school has to have that program and has to have a certified coach, a PE teacher teaching that program. And then they just have to have a certain number of hours. So they have to have 10 hours of that instruction in order to qualify or be eligible for a local tournament. If they have that, then for the state tournament, and this is kind of a big thing because the program the tournament program and the program in general continues to grow. We want them, and at some point we'll require them, but we're very strongly advising, that they compete in at least 2 local tournaments in order to qualify for the state tournament. So like I said, not a requirement yet, but they really need to have that experience ahead of time, or it's going to be really hard for them. Like I said, it's very big. They're shooting with 100 other archers at one time. Every hour we have 100 new archers come in, and well, actually it's probably 250 archers depending on which one they're competing in. Every hour a new set of archers comes in and are shooting, and they all know what they're doing. Some of these kids shoot every weekend from January all the way to the state tournament, and then they go on into the national tournament, and some of them in June go on to the Open tournament, which is held different places throughout the country. So.
Sure. If anybody has any questions about the NASP program, who can they contact and how can they contact them?
Well, they want to contact me, and they can do that by email or phone call, and I'm sure you'll put that number those numbers on the screen for them.
A lot of great information, Jeff. Thank you.
You bet.